Hello viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagwani. I am from Department of Computer Science, Aribhat College, University of Delhi. So today we are going to begin with a new series of operating system concepts, and today we will be starting the first lecture of this series as introduction to operating system. But before going to start the first lecture formally, let us all discuss the course structure, what all we are going to cover in this particular course or in this particular lecture series, I can say. So the course structure will be, I'll be covering some overview of the operating system, then its major functions like process management, memory management, storage management, some protection and security things, and then towards the example of an operating system, we will be covering an open source one, which is Linux. So we will be covering fundamentals of Linux, and then also we will be covering commands and shell programming. So this is, I can say, it's a kind of macro level structure of the course which we are going to begin today. So let me welcome you all formally to this new lecture series, which is operating system concepts, and let us begin with the introduction to this. So first of all, when we talk about a computer, we generally refer to it to as a computer system. Now, why computer system? Why not a computer as a standalone machine or something? So computer, we generally take it as a complete system. Why? Because the definition of the system says system is something which is basically a group of interrelated elements, and all those elements work in one direction or work in tandem with each other for completion of a particular goal. So as far as we see computer, it is a system whose goal is to process the data and generate the information. So basically the goal is processing. And as far as elements are considered, so what all elements are there which are required, which are required in order to make computer as a system, or in order to in order to make the computer function. So these elements of the computer system are hardware, software, firmware and liveware. So four elements or four components of the computer system: hardware, software, firmware and liveware. So let me take these components one by one. So if we say hardware, you all are aware that all those physical components and tangible machinery which you can touch and feel comes under the category of hardware. All your input devices, output devices are basically examples of hardware. Coming to software, so software is basically something which is kind of written programs which are not tangible, which you cannot touch, which you just can feel. So that whole things that those algorithms and those data and those input procedures comes under the category of software. So basically you can say in a very we can say in a very simple language, we can say all those programs on which the computer system is working comes under the category of software. Coming to somewhat hidden two components, which are firmware and liveware. So firmware is basically it is something, it is also a software which is there to control the hardware. So for example, we say BIOS, basic input output system. So this basic input output system is basically in the form of some written instruction, but the specific task is to control some hardware. There is no relationship between hardware and software in such that hardware is lying underlying the software, or I can say software is sitting on the top of the hardware. But as far as firmware is concerned, firmware is closely knitted with the hardware, maybe on the chips or something, and it is written in order to control the hardware. So there is a we can say thin line of difference between software and firmware. So softwares, you all know, all programming languages and all your packages comes under the software, while your basic input output system kind of things comes under the category of firmware. The fourth component is about liveware. So liveware is basically, now what is liveware? Liveware is something all the users or all the living beings, human beings which are connected, which are related to the computer as a system. So for example, users or hardware manufacturers or all those living beings. So these are liveware. So basically when we talk about computer as a system, we have four elements: hardware, software, firmware and liveware. Now coming to the categories of computer software. Now we are going into details of computer software because our operating system is actually a kind of software. So before going to the software, or before going to the operating system in specific, let's all try to see how we can drill down till operating system. So elements of the computer system, then I am coming to the software. So basically this computer software is divided into two major categories as it is shown on the screen. One is system software, another one is an application software. So application software is general purpose or specific purpose, and the system software is, we can have operating system, device drivers and utility softwares in it. Now coming to the explanation of all these components one by one, let us see application software first. So application software is basically a program which is designed to carry out a specific task other than one relating to the operation of the computer itself, typically to be used by the end user. Now what does it mean? So this means basically when I am talking about the categories of software as application software and system software, the system software is all those softwares which are required by the computer itself in order to work properly, while your application software is something which is required by the user and is actually needed by user in order to do the operations or in order to perform the applications which are user related applications. When I am talking about system software, so system software are all those software, all those programs which are related or which are required for the upkeeping of the computer system, or which are required to keep the computer system running. But on that running computer system, if a user comes up and want to do some task, that task can be done with the help of application software. So all those softwares which are computer system related comes under the category of system software. All those software which are actually user related comes under the category of application software. So basically a program designed to carry out a specific task, and that specific task is not related to the operation of the computer itself, but typically it is related to the application or the requirement of the end user. So that is what the application software is. So application software normally, whatever apps you are seeing today in terms of mobile or in terms of your laptops or whatever other devices. So all those apps comes under the category of application software. Now this application software is also of two types. One is the general purpose and another one is the special purpose. So general purpose, as the name indicates, software that can be used for a variety of tasks. For example, I am having a word application and a word processing software, but in that word processing software I can do some minor calculations, or even I can have some little bit capabilities of image processing. So it's a general software which can be used by a user in order to perform a variety of tasks. All the office applications comes under this category. But if I am talking about the specific software which are application specific, now try to understand the concept of a software which is there in order to warn the human beings in case of a flood is going to arrive, or we can say a software which is required for automated weather station, or software which is required for maybe for some rocket launching or something like that. These kind of softwares are very specific softwares, and obviously these are not required for our daily office needs or some kind of these routine applications, I can say. So all those specific software packages which are customized in order to meet the needs of a particular application, that is what you called the application specific software, or I can simply say them as a specific purpose software, like flood warning system and automated weather stations, or some calculation of some pressure in the I can say flight systems or something of that sort. Those are application specific software. So we have seen till this point, let me recall what we have all seen is we have started computer as a system, then we have seen what all are the elements of the system, and within the elements of the system we have chosen the software thing. And now the software is basically divided into two. One is the application software, another one is the system software, in which we have seen the meaning of application software along with its two categories, general purpose software and specific software or application specific software. So I hope it is clear till this point. Now coming to the system software. So system software, as I have told you, that system software is something or some software which is required for good upkeeping of the computer system, and it performs all the tasks which are related to the system itself, not related to the user. So this system software is having hardly anything to do with the users, but it is solely dedicated to the task of the computer itself. So in order to make the computer running so that a user can perform some task on that, so the task of making the computer running is in the hands of system software. Now coming to the system software and its categories, we have basically there are three categories of system software, or you may find some other materials in the books or something which will give you a kind of a different categorization of this softwares, but this I can say is the most general or the most standard one. Now within the system software we are having three categories. One is device driver, another one is utility software, and the next one is our own topic of the day, which is the operating system. Let us take them one by one. So device driver. So device driver, if I am talking about, is something which is actually a software which allows one hardware device to interact with another hardware device. So for example, let's say we are having a printer. Now in order to make that printer work, what we need to do? We need to connect that printer, and also we need to install the corresponding software. That means if we want a personal computer to interact with the printer, so now personal computer is one hardware device and the printer is another hardware device. So here we need a software application in between these two, so that they can interact with each other. So for example, when we are talking about a printer specifically, what we need to do? We need to install the driver of the printer. Whatever company printer you are using, that particular company and the model specific driver you need to install, and you need to kind of make it work. So that is basically the device driver, and it is indicated, it is very clear by the name as well. So it is a driver, or it is basically a software application which is the driver or which is for a particular device. So if we want to install the printer, we need to have a device driver of the printer, or if we need to install maybe a scanner, we need to have a device driver of the scanner. So basically a software application that is allowing one hardware device to interact with the another hardware device, that is what you called device driver, and this device driver may also be called as a software driver. So, the second category among the system software is of utility software. So, utility, as the name indicates, it needs something for it is required basically for I can say in order to analyze, configure, optimize or maintain a computer. So, basically a software which is designed to help analyze, configure, optimize or maintain a computer. For example, we have some disk defragmenter programs, or we have some antivirus programs. So, all these antivirus programs are actually required for maintenance of a computer, or let us say we have disk defragmenter program. So, that disk defragmenter program is required in order to optimize the storage of a computer. So, all these kind of small utility softwares which are required for good upkeeping or maintenance of the computer comes under the category of utility software. So, basically we can also say that utility software is something which is used to support the computer infrastructure. This is something very contradictory from the application software. This application software is aimed at directly performing tasks that benefits the ordinary user, or we can say this application software is something which is there for performing the task of the users, while the utility software is something which is required to support the computer infrastructure, and no wonder the utility software comes under the category of system software. So, within the categorization of software, we have done application software, general purpose and specific purpose, and coming to the system software, we have also seen what is device driver and what is the utility software. Third and a very important component of the system software is the operating system, which is the agenda for today. Now, as it is a system software, it is something which is required in order to perform a computer related task. So, if you we can say try to see the difference between application software and system software. So, application software is there for user related task, while the system software is there for the computer related task. Now, coming to the operating system, it is a program that manages a computer's hardware, or we can say it is a kind of intermediary, or it is a kind of I can say platform, or it is a kind of interface between the computer user and the computer hardware, and it also provides a basis for running the application programs, or it also provides a basis for application programs. Now, what all can be inside this operating system, what all modules can be there of this operating system, what will be the types of operating system, or more specifically we can say what are the functions of that operating system are covered under a wide variety of discussion. So, this is a very huge I can say topic which cannot be limited within some half an hour lecture, but we will try to continue this as and when the situation comes up. So, the operating system, basically a system software which is required in order to manage a computer hardware. Now, the keyword which should be highlighted here is manage. So, basically what are we trying to say is, or here we can also say that the operating system is like a manager of the computer. We will be covering this topic or this concept in detail, that why this is known as a manager. So, if we can say what is the, although it is not directly related to the user applications because it is a system software, but this makes the computer in such a situation that computer is able to run or able to execute any application or any task related to user. So, basically we can say it provides an application it provides a basis for the application programs. Now, if we see a computer hardware, so what does that computer hardware do? That computer hardware is designated to perform as per the instructions given by the user. So now if we talk about the instructions given by the user, that means there one side we have a computer user, and the instructions given by the computer user are going to be used are going to be followed by the computer hardware, and the actual implementation will be done by the hardware only. So in between this computer user and the hardware, we have an intermediary in between, or we have a interface in between. That interface is nothing but the operating system. Now how I will be explaining that also. So for example, you are on a Windows machine, and what you need to do is you need to maybe play some songs, or maybe a presentation is there to be designed. So how are you going to design that presentation, or how are you going to play those songs? So the first requirement is you need to switch on the computer, and you need to wait till you get a desktop screen, right? So what is that desktop screen? So that desktop screen is something which is an interface given by the operating system, so that a user can give the instructions or can give the commands. Now with this desktop screen, you can click on the start button, then open the application of your song playing, and then you do whatever you want to do. So in order to open that application, you need a base, you need a platform. You cannot do it on the bare machine. So that platform, that interface is provided by the operating system. Now looking at why this operating system is required, basically there are kind of, we can say, at a very high level or at a very macro level, we can have only two agendas behind the operating system. One is the ease of use, or I can say convenience. Another one is efficient utilization of resources. Now here comes the two views which we will be explaining in a short while. One is a user view, another one is a system view. So as of now, let us stick to the fact that some operating system are designed to be convenient, and some are designed to be efficient, or others may be you can say a combination of two. Now if we want to see an abstract view of the computer system along with its all elements, so here is a figure which is given on the screen. So on the uppermost layer you have user 1, user 2, user 3 till user n. These are the users which are interacting with the I can say computer system. Then on the next level you have the application softwares or application packages, I can say. Then on the third level from the top you have operating system, and the core is about the computer hardware. Now see what is actually happening here. So let's say you have again the same example I am taking, you need to play some songs. So there is a user 1 who is going to play some songs, and in order to play those songs, that application has to be opened up. So that application is being opened up, and you have chosen some songs, and now the instructions from this application package, which is the second layer, goes to the operating system that so and so song has to be played, or so and so file has to be opened. Operating system is going to make this execution with the help of computer hardware, because ultimately it is the hardware which is going to make the execution. So hardware is something which is going to play the songs, and then you have your output in the form of sounds from this speaker thing. So this is done by operating system. So user is going to instruct the application packages. These application packages in turn are going to interact with operating system, and operating system finally is going to control the hardware or is going to make the hardware work in a manner in which the user has instructed. So abstract view, if we talk about, so computer system is divided into 4: hardware, operating system, application programs and the user, and I have explained it layer by layer. So user is going to instruct the application program in turn asks for the operating system, and operating system will definitely is going to approach the hardware for the task to be done. And the hardware, you are aware that all those kind of CPU, memory, input output devices are there. Application programs we have also kind of discussed, such as word processors, spreadsheets, compilers, web browser. All these are application programs. And then there is an operating system which controls the hardware and coordinates the use of hardware among various application programs for the various user. Because here presently I am talking about a single user and a single application, but the scenario could be very complex as well. There can be multiple users, there can be multiple application programs going in for even for a single user. So for example, you have given a printing command of, let's say, 100 pages, meanwhile you are typing something on the word and some songs are being played in the background. So these are various application programs which are going on for one user. So till this point what we have covered is what is actually an operating system in terms of its existence, where it exists among the elements of your computer system, and as an entity what actually operating system it is basically a system software which is there to control the hardware, and it is going to coordinate the use of hardware. Also it provides the facility of an intermediary for the user and the computer hardware. This is all for this particular lecture. This is a list of references which is being used in preparation of the lecture. Hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you for a patient hearing.